Hey everyone, Allison Caldwell, Ruby Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide, and I want to take a minute today and just tell you a little bit about my personal story. If you know me, you know that my youngest son was diagnosed on the autism spectrum at 3 years old, and we spent years going through gut health protocols with the doctor and all these different supplements and everything. And he went from nonverbal at 3 and screaming 5 or 6 hours a day to a fully functioning neurotypical 5th grader right now who does not have an IEP. So when I tell you I've learned a lot about gut health, that's how. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about what it's done for me personally today. When I was growing up, I did not have good habits at all. I was very much a slave to sugar in every single way. Used to eat, sometimes it's embarrassing, but a half-pound bag of M&Ms for lunch in 7th grade. I'm not real sure how I didn't end up with type 2 diabetes, but I didn't. And because I didn't, I never thought I had blood sugar problems. But as I got older, that really kind of never went away. I managed it. I learned to eat healthy and just figured that as long as I was eating healthy, that really didn't matter that much because the rest of it was healthy. I was always very, very active. And round about the time that I got pregnant with my first child, who is now 18, I started having like just red bumps all over, really, really itchy, just random places when I was pregnant, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I went to the doctor and I said, I need you to help me with this itching thing. Like, I don't know what's going on. And they said, well, you have allergies and you have highly sensitive skin. So we're going to give you some medication, some antihistamines, which at the time were prescription. And he said, that should help. Let's see how that does. So I said, all right. And I tried that and it did, it helped. So because I was young and, didn't care, well, I don't say didn't care about anything, but like I didn't get it. I didn't understand about the long-term effects of things like this. So I just thought, well, great, I'll just stay on Zyrtec, it won't matter. So I did for a long time. And I had sinus problems pretty much my whole life, but they got really bad around that time. I mean, really bad. Where every time a storm would come through, I would get a sinus infection and I would have to do a round of antibiotics to get rid of it because nothing I did ever worked to get rid of it. Every time I got sick, a virus, a cold, whatever went through, I would end up with a sinus infection afterwards and have to go on a round of antibiotics because I couldn't get it out of there. And they told me I had like very flat, thin frontal sinuses, so they don't drain well. And I was like, okay, great. So I just kind of thought it was my lot in life and that was what I was going to have to deal with. But that was something that just went on and on and on for many years. I also always struggled from really bad PMS issues. Used to miss, a couple of days, really kind of regularly, almost every month. I remember at one point actually physically becoming ill and like getting sick because I was having such horrible cramps. I couldn't keep the ibuprofen down to get the pain to go away. I was literally taking ibuprofen like candy. It scares me now to think how much ibuprofen I used to take. A lot of ibuprofen because that was the only thing that would stop it. Terrible cramps, really moody, really, really crabby. Started some B vitamins at one point and that helped. The B6 was really helpful for that. But it didn't get away. It wasn't all the way gone. So I continued to struggle with that on and off. Obviously, I was pregnant regularly. I've had 5 pregnancies, and so I've been pregnant regularly throughout that. So there were some times, and that was a big blessing for me. Like, I didn't have to deal with PMS when I was pregnant. So I was like, yay, let's get pregnant again. Because I didn't have to worry about it. But when I kind of got done with all of that and I was really like, okay, now I need to take some time. I'd gotten our son to the point where he was pretty self-sufficient and things were going really well. I was like, all right, I need to figure out what's going on with me because I am really not in a good way right now. At that point, we were living in Yuma and it was, in 2015, the beginning of 2015, I had started running. I was running a lot. I was eating really well, organic, clean, good quality carbs. I wasn't eating any bread, but I still had my chocolate and my wine. And I had lots of chocolate. Like I would go through a handful of chocolate almost every time I went by the pantry, but I knew I was doing everything else right. So I was like, this is my chocolate and wine belly. Like, nah, it'll be fine. And I had tried giving up chocolate for a while to see. It was really hard. I just couldn't have it in the house. But nothing changed. So I was like, well, I might as well enjoy it, right? So like I didn't lose any weight, nothing, and I was carrying all of my weight in my middle. And I was running, like I said, a lot. Fast forward a little bit into the spring of 2016, I was just really, really exhausted all the time by that point. And it didn't matter how much sleep I got. It didn't matter what I was eating. I was just tired all the time. I was waking up for a cup of coffee. I was going for another cup after lunch because I was just crashing hard. And then by 3 o'clock, I was wiped out. By 7, if my butt hit a couch, I was like, ugh, could not function anymore. Even if we had company over, and it was really embarrassing to fall asleep when you're trying to talk with your friends. And I'm like, it's not you, I promise, I'm sorry. And it was so embarrassing to have that happening. I had no idea why. So I went to the doctor and I said, okay, it's either my hormones or my thyroid. Something is off and I don't know what. I need you to check it out. So he said, all right. And I was having very, very consistent, much heavier bleeding. And he said, well, you're in perimenopause. That's what's going on with all of this. So I had started an iron supplement. He gave me progesterone cream to go on instead of the birth control pill that I had been on for years to try to maintain some sort of hormone balance because I would just swell. And like I said, the PMS was really bad. The bloating and the cramping were terrible without it. So he said, let's try the cream and see if that helps some. I said, all right. I had gone to a doctor to try to get off of my Zyrtec because I didn't want to take that anymore either. And they did the whole, pokes all up and down my back. And they said, well, you're allergic to the tester. And I went, great. No wonder it itches so bad. And he said, here's your Zyrtec prescription. You can just stay on that antihistamine basically for, the foreseeable future because your skin is just hypersensitive. If I missed, I'd been on it at that point for 17 years. And if I missed maybe about 2 or 3 days, I would have roaming patches of hives all over my body that wouldn't go away. And they would I would almost bleed because they itched so bad and I couldn't stop myself from scratching them unless I had an antihistamine. So all of that was still kind of going on. The progesterone helped. I kind of was feeling a little bit better. I was like, okay, but I was still just feeling that perimenopausal thing, the anxiety that comes with it. It was just really not fun. And then we moved from Yuma to Alabama, and I met Randy at a run club, and I was training for the Marine Corps Marathon at the time. So I had put in probably 400 miles almost by the time I met her in September. And she said she learned a little bit about Chris's story and about, our healing journey with his gut health stuff. And she said, oh, you'd love my supplements. And I said, no, I wouldn't. No, because I've worked with doctors and I was completely self-described a supplement snob. So I was like, no, I don't want your supplements because I don't think they're any good. And it's an MLM. And I was like, oh, poor thing. And I just didn't want anything to do with it. So she asked me and just really kept saying, I want you to really look into these. And I finally said, all right, I'll look at the bottles. And I looked at them and I was kind of like, those are specifically the things that they put Chris on at the doctor when we were breaking through the biofilm and treating candida. And I was like, all-in-one pill, that seems too good to be true. I'm like, nah, that can't be right. So I took him to the doctor and I said, my friend wants me to take these and I need you to tell me how I can tell her no because I don't want to do it. And he said, they're good, take them. And I went, fine. So I took them and I took one probiotic and I immediately knew I was having die-off. I was also a little dehydrated. So I just kind of felt icky and a little achy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this works. And I chugged a bunch of water and I felt better. And I was blown away that this actually was a good quality product and it worked great. So I knew I wanted my whole family on it. And I knew I couldn't afford to do that because even the 2 bottles I bought really weren't in my budget. So I asked Randy about it. She helped me get my products paid for, and I haven't paid for them since. And I'm now making a full-time income. This is about almost a year and a half later. I'm making a full-time income with this, and it has brought so much into my life. It has brought friendships and personal growth and health for the entire family. Personally, I am off of all 3 of my allergy medications, the pill, the nasal spray, and the eye drops, because I couldn't wear contacts without them. Off of all 3 of those, I am off of my hormone replacement therapy. I no longer have any PMS symptoms at all. There's no change. I don't have to have 3 pant sizes in my dresser drawer anymore because I don't change size during the month. And I was doing that. So my energy is completely different. I don't crash anymore. I don't need coffee. I can have a cup here and there because I enjoy it and it's tasty, but not because I need it to function, which is a really, really nice thing. I don't have those cravings anymore. I don't feel like I'm a slave to chocolate and sugar cravings and things like that, and wolfing down a half a bag of Oreos because I couldn't control it. I don't have those issues anymore, and it has been so freeing for me. I really and truly didn't know I could feel this good. I feel better now than I did in my 20s because I had carried that inflammation from those bad habits when I was a kid all through my life. So I feel so much better now at 42 than I ever have. And that goes to show for my family as well. My husband feels great. We're both putting on muscle more easily because our blood sugar is balanced. We don't get hangry during the day. We have energy all day long. Nobody's having cravings. His hairline even came forward almost an inch, which is pretty amazing for, a receding hairline that's been kind of going backwards, and he didn't like that for a long time. So I've been cutting his hair for years, so I knew right where it was, and it actually came forward. It's really awesome. And he had his gallbladder out a few years ago. That messed with his digestion really badly, and that has all gotten better. My daughters have gotten relief from depression, anxiety, reflux issues, chronic knee pain. Brielle, with her knee surgeries, was told she had an arthritic knee of a 50-year-old man when she was 15. She had constant knee pain, and there is none anymore. No knee pain. When she goes out running, she does all sorts of activities now with no pain. No more hormonal migraines for her as well. Chris has done amazing with these supplements. His teachers in Alabama said, don't ever stop giving him this pink drink, because he wasn't being irritable with his classmates anymore. He wasn't hangry. And so basically all of us not being hangry has made for a much more pleasant home environment. We're not perfect. We still argue. We still get on each other's nerves. We still misunderstand things sometimes. But it has taken for us the roller coaster of, teenager raising from this to like this, which is so much more manageable. And it has just made us all happier. And I could not be more grateful for this company, for these products, for this business, for everything about it. And I love sharing it. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I would love to talk with you about it. Bye-bye.